Now in this module we will discuss about the ethical challenges of globalization and with respect to the employees' rights and duties and the organization's rights and duties to the employees in the globalized situations. So we understand, like in the previous discussions also you understood, like though we are speaking of deterritorialization, globalization, still the national culture of a place, of a region, and the moral values as of the citizens as guided by the cultural identity with the national culture or the local culture plays a role in how they are viewing their rights and responsibilities. So a major of the concern over here is the national culture and the moral values. We have to understand, like different cultures will view employee rights and responsibilities differently. This means, like the managers dealing with the employees overseas need to first understand the cultural basis of morality in that particular country. So this they can understand from the like the power distance in the organization, the respect for time, how people are like whether people greet each other for the first time when they meet or not, what are the ethically accepted non-verbal communication pattern or not, how do they manage uncertainty or not. So these various cues will help to understand like how they address the issues of like employees' rights and responsibilities within a particular organization. How do they address their seniors or juniors? Many cues can be taken to understand the ethical like ways that are taken to be employee rights and responsibilities. So what position do they give like to the genders, like do they have equal rights and responsibilities as given in the culture, or there is a defined roles for the females and defined roles for the males. So these type of clues can be taken from the national culture. So the debate which comes up is whether it is fair to treat the people differently based on where they are living, or like it is some ethical principle which are applicable everywhere. So the point of concern here is that about the absolutism and relativism. So nature of the like rules and regulations, the determining what is right, what is wrong, should it be based on absolute principles or should it be based on relative principles, means view of ethics must always be relative to the historical, social and cultural context belonging to that place. These discussion is very much relevant with respect to the multinational corporations. So because they again, if you are talking of the political views of the organization, if you are talking of the relative power shared by the MNCs and maybe the developing countries where they are going to do their business, and who is more powerful in this regard, we may find like the MNCs may play a very important role in changing the like the standards in a particular country, so which can be like either in the positive sense or in a negative sense, like if there are certain rights of human rights which are not respected in a particular country, the MNC can exert its power on the government to and if that right is respected in the MNC's own country, then the MNC can exert its power on the government to make those rights available also to the citizens of the developing country. Otherwise it may tell like we are not going to come over here, and due to the fact like the presence of the MNC may improve the living conditions of the people in that country, the government may agree to or the society may agree to allow those rights also for the individuals. But in so that is how they positively change the standards in the countries. But if suppose there is already a differentiation between the rich and poor, the have and the have nots, then the MNC is coming in the developing countries with their products and services may try to add more to that imbalances and may restrict the global the local players from entering into the business, because they are not in a position to compete with the global players. So these may again have a changing role in the changing the standards in the countries. Positively also, if the global players are coming with their quality products and all, so it may raise the expectations of the customers to expect more quality and standards from the local players also, so that will improve the quality of the services and products. So it has a both ways effect of in changing the standards in the countries, and it's a far reaching effect. So MNCs have a critical role to play in changing the standards in particular countries. So globalization allows the corporations to have a broad range of choice of locations. So and the developing countries, they compete with each other to attract these foreign investments. So in order to appear attractive to the MNCs, to attract foreign investment, is an ethical dilemma over here. It depends on what the MNC wants to see in that country so that it appears to be attractive. It is guided by the values of the MNC and the expectations, and also what the developing countries, what are the practices in the developing countries it follows with its citizens, and what practices does it take to appear attractive to the MNCs in the way that they want to see them. So it is a both way decision, like what the MNCs expect in the developing countries, and also how do they, what measures the developing countries take to appear attractive to the MNCs. So it has been observed like large investors generally choose country with most preferable conditions. Now what are these preferable conditions is lowest level of regulations and social provisions for the employees, because that is how they increase their profit margin, and that is how the developing countries also appear to be attractive, because there is less of production costs in terms of salaries or wages to be given to employees, responsibilities to be given to be taken care of employees, and that's how they can increase their their profit margin by producing at the cheaper cost. So this leads to the actually the race of the bottom in environmental and social standards. So the country having the least of these regulations with respect to environmental and social standards is the country which attracts more foreign investment. But again, we correspondingly should be thinking of the corresponding duties of the MNCs towards these countries. So because one of, as we can understand, the MNCs is more powerful than the or more knowledgeable. They have more source of information regarding what they want to do and how they want to treat the employees of the developing countries. And if no rules and regulations are present based on the country where they are functioning, depending on the like justice approach, fairness approach, and the care approach, the rights and duties approach. So this guides the MNCs to follow, to promote, to have a check, like not at least some social and political institutions where they exist, to find out like the minimum of these social standards are at least followed if they are not existing, and try to promote the pattern, promote the practices, so that these social and environmental policies and practices as per the guidelines as given in the developed countries, if not totally, but again to some extent is followed, because they, by the stakeholder theory, we understand like all are in a web of relationship, and the stake business cannot like provide any harm to any of the stakeholders, and their effort should be in respecting the rights, not violating the rights, and minimizing the harm provided to any stakeholder. So even if it is found like there are no such rules and regulations which like binds the MNCs to follow certain rules and regulations and respect it, so if it is not there, it becomes a part of responsibility of the MNCs to voluntarily follow it, so that no harm is provided to the society where it goes and functions. Other issues may rise up regarding this when you're talking of this globalization, is that of migrant labor and illegal migration. So like growing mobility of workers is a recent phenomena of globalization. So people are moving across various regions, and workers are also attracted to move to industries where there are no local labor. Numerous ethical issues may come up with respect to this movements. Migration is migrant labor often leads to questionable social phenomena like drug abuse, maybe social relationships which are not legitimate. So these type of societal issues may crop up. Migrants are often from poor countries and they are willing to accept like pay and working conditions which are not acceptable in the host country. So this may create some like disbalances in the system and maybe functioning against the interest of the local community or local potential employers who are there, employees who are there. So migrant workers sometimes enter the country illegally, but a certificate of working in the country may later be produced as a certificate for basis for legal residency. So these may again create some unethical issues because you are entering illegally to a particular country without proper documents. Then you start working in there, and then you use that as a means to an end of getting the legal residency in that country. So these could be like ethical issues with illegal migration. Next, we will discuss the corporate citizenship and employee relations. So we have discussed the political view of the organization, where we came to understand the similarity like the generally where the analogy is being drawn with an employer and the government, the role of the employer and the role of a government, and the corresponding rights of the employees in similar with the rights of the citizens of a particular country. In past discussions also we have tried to discuss on the political role of the organization, where as a corporate citizen the organization is taking up responsibilities and getting involved in societal matters or problems of the society, which actually the government was or political leaders are supposed to take care of. But with the increasing power and recognition of the corporate in the society's mindset and the increasing relationship of the society and the corporate at large, so this mutual interdependency, trust, so it makes the corporate move beyond just its business responsibility and take care of some social problems also, and that explains the role of the organization as a corporate citizen, where we are looking into the extended views of the corporate citizenship, and we understand like it is like become the right of the it has become the responsibility of the organization to some extent to take care of the social rights, the political rights, and maybe the civil rights of the society at large. So in this respect we will discuss the corporate citizenship and the employee relations. So what we see, like there have been differences in the corporate citizen and the employee relations in a global context. According to the Anglo-American model and the European model, there are differences. So in continental Europe, it takes interest of employees into account to a greater degree than the Anglo-American model. So interest of employees are taken more care of in the continental Europe model. There is also a term of co-determination, where the employees, as we discussed earlier, the employees and the employers together determine what the organization is going to do and what role is each going to perform. So this gives more say of the employee in the organization. This gives more right of the employee to participate in organizational decision making processes, in the operational processes, to take care of the how the organization is functioning. In developing countries, so it is the level of regulation, or at least enforcement of those regulations, those laws that there could be, it's like very poor, and though it is strengthening over time. So the corporate actions over there, because the global expectations from the MNCs or the corporate is that they are also as good citizens, taking care of the rights of other citizens present in that scenario, so is to act like a good citizen. The corporate's role is to act like a voluntarily like a good citizen, because there is no law as such which is forcing them to act as a good citizen, or even if law is there, the enforcement is often poor. So its corporate's action is often that of good citizen, voluntarily acting like a good citizen. And Ruggies' framework for the corporates to and their responsibility for respecting human rights are, first is to protect, so the state's duty to prevent abuses of human rights. Then it is the respect, it is the firm's duty to respect human rights. And third is the remedy, means general duty to create systems to remedy abuses. So first is the state's responsibility, it's the duty to prevent abuses. Second is firm's duty to respect human rights, and third is the remedy, general duty to provide systems to remedy abuses. So even if it is a state duty to prevent abuses, so suppose if it is there or not there, so if it is there, the company, the corporate is like bound to follow and respect those human rights. But if it is not explicitly mentioned, or it is no steps taken by the state as such to prevent these abuses, the corporate, as a part of good citizenship measure, can take up responsibilities to protect those human rights, maybe within the domain of the organization itself, or spreading itself to the greater cause of the society, and to respect the human rights, and to create system also like where it is trying to bring a remedy to these abuses or respect the human rights. So some of the measures taken in form of strategic CSR, where the CSR is getting ingrained in the how the organization is doing its business, in its business practices, how it is addressing the need of the stakeholders within the organization and the other stakeholders, network of stakeholders connected to itself, both inside and outside the organization, how it is trying to take up issues of social problems, and it is trying to gear its mechanisms and take it as an address of their issue which needs to be addressed as a part of their business goal also, and what steps it is taking to address to those issues through its different policies and practices formulated within the organization, and which has got ingrained as a part of the business practices. It gives a free idea of how the corporate is functioning as a good citizen to respect, to protect, and to bring remedy to the maybe respect to the human rights, and to protect the human rights and bring remedy to any of the misuses of the human rights. If the government is not proactive enough or not having proper measures for it, the corporate as a citizen and in its relation with the like other citizens of the society take this proactive measure to protect, respect, and these rights, and provide remedy to its misuses. With this discussion, in the next module we'll move forward to the discussion of a sustainable environment. So we have, throughout our discussions, we have understood in this module about the role of employees as a stakeholder, the different models of the organization. We have discussed at length about the different firm employee relations. We have talked about the different rights and duties of the employees towards the organization, and the corresponding duties of the employers towards the employees. We have also discussed about the role of globalization and what are the perspectives the MNCs can take for the developing countries where they are going to function in. We have discussed to some extent the problem of migrant laborers also. We have discussed the role of corporates as corporate citizens and the employees' relationship with it. With this knowledge, we will move forward to the discussion of sustainable environment, whereby sustainability we are focusing towards the triple bottom line of economic sustainability, the sustainability of the society at large, and also we are talking of sustainability of the environment. This we will take up in the next module. Thank you.